You've all seen the bumper strips Coexist, right? And they've got the beautiful thing with something from each religion and it's all built into the image, coexist. Okay, we have to coexist. Well, I mean, unless you're someone who is so bent on hatred, by hatred, etc., that you want to end people's existence, and God forbid that we see that, although we're seeing it in Syria, elsewhere. So what about coexisting and cooperating? Can we cooperate as separate faiths? Sometimes, but there's certain things on which we cannot cooperate. This comes out of the separate country of Washington State, Olympia, Washington. Andy No had this story.
A possible attempted honor killing, which shook the Timberline High School community, now on trial in Thurston County Superior Court. Prosecutors accuse both Ihsan and Zara Ali of choking their 17-year-old daughter outside the high school to the point where she couldn't breathe and lost consciousness. Part of the incident was caught on camera from a nearby bus.
Her eyes were rolling to the back of the head. You can tell she was not able to breathe. The look on his face and the way he was squeezing, he was choking her.
Court records state the victim's father had previously threatened her with an honor killing for refusing an arranged marriage with an older man in another country. Several bystanders, including other students, the bus driver, and other adults passing through the area, had to step in and pry the victim from her father's grip.
I noticed her eyes rolling into the back of her head, so what I did is I grabbed his hand and I pulled it off. I was able to spread his arms apart, and that's when she got free.
Other eyewitnesses described the chaos unfolding in front of the high school, with teens screaming.
Her eyes are rolling in the back of her head. She can't breathe. Someone call 911. Let go. Everyone seemed in a panic.
Thank goodness this went to courts. Oh, court. Oh, yeah, coexist but don't cooperate. We can't cooperate with this. A judge wants us to. I'll tell you about this in a second because this is a full-on, I think, act of war against the family. We can coexist, but there's things with which we cannot cooperate. My friend Tim Cruikshank is the founder and CEO of Bone Frog Coffee. He fought 3 battles in the Middle East, one of them literally in Babylon. He did this as a medic attached to the SEAL teams. So Tim has seen things like this up close. He's actually rescued people from things like this up close. When he came back to the world, he decided to found a coffee company called Bone Frog Coffee to honor his fallen comrades, his fallen friends who are Navy SEALs. That's why it's called Bone Frog. The insignia, the actual picture, that means a fallen SEAL. He slightly modified that drawing so as to not run into the guy who created the drawing and say honor it as a reference. The coffee is made by or often mentored into existence by a guy named Dave Stewart. Dave was never a SEAL, never knew Tim until Tim came home and said, I'm founding a coffee company to honor SEALs. Will you help me? Dave heard the story, the plan, and he jumped in. So who's Dave Stewart? Just the guy who invented Seattle's best coffee. Tim put together a team, including this mentor. He hires veterans whenever he can. In fact, Tim just sent 2 of his employees to Buds so they can go be Navy SEALs like him. So he has to hire more people, and he'll look for vets every time. Try the coffee because the story is locked. And if you love the coffee, subscribe. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/Todd. Use promo code Todd at checkout to save 10% on your first purchase. Bonefrogcoffee.com/Todd. Save 15% on subscription coffee when you use code Todd at checkout for your subscriptions. It's bonefrogcoffee.com/Todd. Promo code Todd at checkout. A judge in Western Washington, in Olympia, a judge named Christine Schaller, this is from Andy No, who drew my attention to the first story, did not allow the prosecution to enter into evidence that the underage girl's Muslim parents allegedly told her she was going to be married off to an older Muslim man in their home country before the choking attack. The judge said the backstory would be too prejudicial to the defendants. When you're trying to prove a crime, one of the elements is motive. Why would they do this to their daughter? Motive matters. This judge did not want the motive disclosed. She wanted this to seem like maybe the parents were upset. Maybe the girl stayed out all night. Maybe she committed a heinous act. Maybe she vandalized their home. Maybe she got caught with drugs. Maybe she hit one of them. She wanted this to be in the imagination of the jury. And in Western Washington, having been located there most of my adult life, I can tell you something. People there have been taught to believe that only Christians ever abuse their kids for religious reasons. We can coexist. We're called to coexist. We're called to love our enemies. We're called to love our neighbors as ourselves. Love your Lord your God with your entire heart, mind, and soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's upon these two commandments all the others hang. So we have to coexist to be good Christians, but we do not have to cooperate. An Islamic Center wrote a community support letter, and of course this comes from, where else? St. Paul, Minnesota, in support of a man who pressed his sexual will violently upon a 12-year-old girl. They want us to cooperate with their view of what men should be allowed to do. On May 28, 2025, a jury found Durai guilty of first-degree criminal sexual conduct. After he was convicted, Durai's family submitted letters to Judge Michael E. Burns, which asked the judge to consider Durai's character when making a sentencing decision. He's a deeply good man whose presence enriches the lives of those around him, said one of the letters. I respectfully ask that you consider his character, his contributions, his ongoing potential in making your decision. Among other things, the letter portrayed him as hardworking, a family man who genuinely strives to make meaningful contributions. In addition to the letters from family, Al-Isham Islamic Center in St. Paul submitted a community support letter for Qualeen Durai to the judge. We, the undersigned members of the Somali community, write this letter to express our strong and heartfelt support for Qualeen Durai, a member of our community. The Islamic Center wrote that the convicted felon has faced the challenges of starting over in a new culture. And Durai was known as outgoing, family-oriented person before this situation, as they put it. This situation. Not all cultures have the same views of what men should be allowed to do to girls or how they should be allowed to use their bodies. There are different cultural views, and the Christian cultural view is the best one. Well, no, I know that because Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through him. It is the true faith. We cannot go around outlawing Islam. I wouldn't support that. You cannot be a Christian and want to have a Christian theocracy. Those two things don't go together because Jesus never forced anybody. But what we can say is that we can pray for, we can love, and we're called to love all of our neighbors despite their faith, and I try to do that and often succeed. We can coexist, but we cannot cooperate. Not in things like this.